Georgia Southern pulls off the sweep of App State. Let's talk about it next on Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, we will get to the craziness of the transfer portal. It's not only in the G5, and South Alabama wins with a limited roster. All right, so Georgia Southern pulls off the sweep of App State. I'm going to give App State credit. Didn't have to go. Had a lot of opt-outs. And Dowell Loggins went, and, overall, they didn't play all that poorly, to be honest with you. And it's too bad that it finished the way that it did, at least for App State, right? It was a 13-7 ball game, which was actually a big deal at the time because they had scored a touchdown, and App State scored a touchdown to make it a 10-7 ball game, and you got a game at half. Georgia Southern went right down and actually responded with a field goal at the end of the half to make it 13-7, and then they just exploded after that. J.C. French struggled in the first half, much more explosive in the second half. Your final, of course, 29-10. The problem was with App State, they kept on throwing interceptions. All right. Noah Gillen showed up, I believe, in January of 2025. Made his first start, had a little bit of playing time this year, but made his first start. He threw 2 interceptions. Matthew Wilson was a cornerback. He actually goes 12 of 22, 128 yards. He throws 2 interceptions. Wilson did run for 110 yards and 1 touchdown on 12 attempts. I mean, yardage-wise, when I say they didn't play that poorly, yardage-wise, they're right there. 413 yards for Georgia Southern, 379 yards for App State. But interception after interception after interception after interception. If we can see where these were, because even was at, even started at even all the way at the end of the game. They threw an interception at the end of the game, was at the 3rd and 5 on the Georgia Southern 5-yard line. Wouldn't have mattered score-wise or game-wise, even cover-wise. It would not have mattered. But it's still, that was the kind of situation that it was at, that they threw a bunch of interceptions at the goal line. All right. J.C. French ended up doing a little bit better in the second half. You finished a solid 18 out of 25, 171 yards, 1 touchdown. Ran it 12 times, 38 yards. Got a big assist from O.J. Arnold. He blew open the game, I guess, with a long 58-yard run to begin the second half, and it took all of a minute and 26 to get into the end zone for Georgia Southern. They tacked on another touchdown, and they went up 26-7. Before App State put on a field goal, and Georgia Southern also added a field goal. App State with all kinds of issues kicking field goals today, whether it was for them or Georgia Southern. They actually committed running into the kicker penalty. Georgia Southern still kicked it and put some points on the board, whereas App State could not stay on sides, I guess. They jumped early twice, and that cost them 3 points early on. I mean, it could have been technically a 10-10 ball game at half. Let's see here. Marcus Sanders, he had 5 catches, 72 yards, and 1 touchdown. Dalton Stroman did have 3 catches, 96 yards. I believe it was Stroman that Noah Gillen hit down the left sidelines, and it was a pretty good throw. But again, going to give credit to App State for showing up, for competing, making it a ball game, and not giving up, right? They got outgained, what did I say, by 20 yards, if I could do the math, 21 and 13, 34 yards. That's not bad. The score's not closer because they kept on throwing interceptions near the goal line. I will also say it's Phil. Again, I think we got like both teams of Georgia Southern, right? I mean, defensively, they've been not great all year. And two really inexperienced quarterbacks. One, Matthew Wilson's going to run it and throw it. And Noah Gillen was going to throw it a little bit. Still went up and down the field for almost 400 yards against the defense, which apparently Georgia Southern had no opt-outs for this game. And so we saw what was, I don't want to say ineffective JC French because he went right down the field, opened the game, and they got a touchdown. But they sort of, I don't know, dilly-dally. They just weren't very consistent, I guess is the word, throughout. And then Georgia Southern has their own Taysom Hill, Weston Bryan, talking about wrestling champion, you know. He took it in for a touchdown. Gibbs ran it in for a touchdown. You're a little upset that JC French gets you all the way down the field. Like the first score was JC French, and then they give it to Gibbs to hand it out, to direct snap for him. Probably doesn't really matter, but you want a little bit of love, you know, or at least hand it off to O.J. Arnold to let him score the touchdown. I don't understand some of that. The only question I had with Clay Helton today was they went for 2 at 19-7, right? And I'm sitting here and thinking, you really think that App State's going to score 21 points? We're going to be in big trouble if you're Georgia Southern if the App State scores 21, all right? At the same time, I probably need to stop being get off my lawn guy because it looked like they were just trying to have fun with a shovel pass to an offensive lineman for a touchdown. Or for a 2-point conversion, excuse me. So that was probably about it. It looked like it got in. I don't know why we don't have, you know, pylon cams. Doesn't seem to be that big of a deal, but apparently it is. Even for a bowl game, that prevented that from being a cool play. I think it was more about Georgia Southern having fun and trying to get an offensive lineman to score than we need to go for 2 to get to 21. Once they did the play. Before they were doing the play, I'm like, what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? But Georgia Southern with a nice win. They sweep App State. Probably does not happen very often. And I know a lot of people, I thought this year was going to be the year for Georgia Southern. We'll see if JC French is coming back. They got to be better than they were this year. But it appears that Clay Helton is coming back, right? They're making some defensive, made some changes on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll see if they can get any better. Dowell Loggins has his work cut out for him. I don't know if they found a quarterback between Matthew Wilson and Noah Gillen today. Probably going to dip into the transfer portal to get one. At least 27 players went into the portal, and I guess some of them did play today. That was allowed. I'm not sure who they were. Both quarterbacks, J.J. Cole and A.J. Swan, said, no, thank you. All right. I think Matthew Wilson is actually into the portal, but he played. He's on the list, at least according to Jeremy Harper, or take it for whatever that's worth. Howell Razor from the Fun Belt podcast. All right. All right. Let's take a time out. The transfer portal, we've said this once before. We'll say it again. Out of control. We'll talk about that next, right after I tell you about game time. There's nothing like college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The app is incredibly easy to use. You can go from browsing to buying tickets in just a couple of minutes. I love being able to see the view from my seat before buying, so I knew exactly what I was getting. The zone deal stood out. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. Seeing college football tickets starting as low as $25 made it easy to plan a game day experience. Knowing prices include all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day. Okay. So the transfer portal continues to be out of control. Apparently, all of the 11 starters on JMU are either out of eligibility or into the portal. Iowa State has it worse. Iowa State has like 16 players left for next year. 16. What are we doing? My Orange, 25. He had a top 50 class. Graham Brown had a top 50 class. And he's only got 7 of those guys left. That's 2 years ago. Got a top 30 class coming in this year. And so something has to be done. All right. Someone's got to take the reins. And right now it's just not the NCAA. If you want to hear a little gobbledygook, Jeff Goodman reached out to, see if I can find it quickly. Jeff Goodman from the Field of 68. He reached out to the NCAA, and this is what they said. Goodman asked the NCAA whether players with NBA experience were eligible to play in college. This was their statement they provided to the Field of 68. Schools are recruiting and seeking eligibility for more individuals with international, semi-pro, and professional experience than ever before. And while the NCAA members have updated many rules following the House injunction, more rules must likely be updated to reflect the choices member schools are making. At the same time, NCAA eligibility rules have been invalidated by judges across the country, wreaking havoc on the system and leading to fewer opportunities for high school students, which is why the association is asking Congress to intervene in these challenges. I mean, they basically, I will say, give it up to them. I will say they admit they have bad lawyers. Just have bad lawyers. They're not even bothered stopping it. They're not even bothered. They're just saying our hands are tied. It's a free for all. All right. Used to be 4 years. Got 4 years of eligibility with a 5th year for injury, or back in my day, kids were not nearly athletic. So very, very few freshmen played at all. They just redshirted, and they had to get more athletic, put on a little bit of weight so they could play college ball. And they still didn't play very much as a redshirt freshman, maybe on special teams. You got a little bit of time to play when you were a redshirt sophomore, and then you really contributed as a redshirt junior. Maybe you got drafted, or else you came back as a senior. But you usually only played about 2.5 years of college football. Now, I mean, you can play 2 years of junior college football, and apparently you can play like 5 years of regular college football, 4-year college football. And someone's got to stand up and say, enough. It's got to be a president of a school. It's got to be, it could be Greg Sankey for all I care. He seems to be the most powerful guy. He's got to say, enough. All right? Because it has gotten out of control. They have put no guardrails in. All the courts did was say 2 things. That they can get paid, right? We've been over that before. I mean, the Supreme Court justices certainly can't agree on lunch, but they can't agree if the sky is blue. Meanwhile, the NIL ruling ended up being 9-0, right? but there's been no guardrails on how often you can transfer or how many times you can transfer and where you can transfer to. All right. The thing is, it used to be crappy the other way around when a new coach would get hired, and specifically college basketball, but also college football. They used to be 4 or 5 one-year contracts. Now, that may not be the case anymore. In a lot of cases, it's not. Okay, because you'd have to re-sign the contract. So a new coach comes in, doesn't give you that scholarship, you're out. That was back in probably as late as 10 years ago, right? Maybe even before all this mess was 5 years ago. It was 4 or 5 one-year deals, which is kind of crappy in itself, right? Kind of a little shady, if something changes, right? If the team does well, and the coach goes off and gets a better job, and the new coach comes in and they say, no, thank you. Well, that's a problem, right? That was never really addressed. And that's when the kids could go in the transfer portal and not being held against them. Now it's just a complete free-for-all, right? Matt Campbell gets hired late at Penn State. The whole team's gone. Bob Chesney goes to UCLA, although that was up in the open, right? Everybody knew about that. And all the guys are leaving from JMU. Did see, apparently the whole LSU offensive line is gone. Peter Burns from SEC Network suggests that they're just dipping their toes in the water, that they could, few, if not all, could return, but just seeing what kind of money they may be able to get. And again, I have no idea what the money is for. I mean, are we talking 50 grand, 100 grand? Are we talking $1 million? Remember, the money that these colleges are spending, the $20.5 million, that's for everybody, not just football. So they got to figure out how to spread that across where LSU is, football and baseball at the very least. And the people with maybe the most NIL money is gymnastics at LSU, right? So they got to figure out how to spread that out. Most of it's going to go to, obviously, a lot of it's going to go to baseball or to football, some to baseball, and then some to men's and women's basketball. The women's basketball team is better than the men's basketball team at LSU anyways, and in some other places as well, but certainly at LSU. And then does the softball team get any? Right, they got beach volleyball. There are plenty of sports there, track and field. So there's plenty of athletes that are going to look for NIL money, or at least get paid by the school. I guess that's a different thing than NIL money. I guess that's a little bit different. That's just the school paying the athletes. That's different. No. So it's just out of control, and you can't build a program. It's not good for the kids. I don't have a problem if the kids, again, attend the school, doesn't work out for them, they're on the bench, didn't get along with the coach, wasn't what they thought they were, they can transfer once. Coach leaves, gets another job, they can transfer again. But that should be about it. That should come down to you get 2 free passes. And you don't get a graduate free pass. But nobody is standing up and saying, well, you got some politicians. Ted Cruz says he's trying to get Republicans and Democrats to work together. That'd be nice. All right. I mean, again, you can find the politics, they say, makes the strangest bedfellows. And there have been, I'm not going to say the names because off the top of my mind, I don't know it, but I do know it is a right-wing Republican and a left-wing Democrat trying to pass a law that Congress cannot invest in stocks when they're in Congress. And so these people don't smile with each other at all, and yet they were in front of the press trying to get a law or maybe an amendment passed to that big, beautiful, reopen the government. Maybe they're trying to do it to reopen the government. So again, politics makes strange bedfellows. I can't imagine Congress doing this, but that's what the NCAA basically said. Our hands are tied. Every time we go to court, we lose. And so too bad for our members. Fend for yourselves. And, these Tom Izzo is unhappy. I saw Steve Alford is unhappy, and these guys are making millions of dollars, right? Somewhere along the way, you got to figure out it's on a 1-year deal. We're playing on a 1-year deal. It's just gotten year after year after year. And that's, and that's what it is these times. That's what it is. All right, let's take a time out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's talk college basketball. All right, some Sun Belt teams in action on Monday night. South Alabama with a limited roster beats crosstown. It's a really rival foe, the Mobile Rams. We'll talk about that right after I tell you about FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make the move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Hour. NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Little basketball, little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Again, special thanks to everybody who is new here and old here, guys who've been with me from the get-go. Really appreciate it. Again, we're up over 2,850 subscribers. We did more than 1,000 this year in 2025. So I do sincerely appreciate it. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we got those 22, I think it wasn't I at 28, 33, and now we're at 2851. So really appreciate that. Over 1,000. And I'll make a graphic on where the growth has been, not only since 2023, but last year. I mean, it's exploded, and we're just the Sun Belt. So I do appreciate it. And remember, we're not that far off away. We'll lean into baseball much sooner than I did last year. Live and learn. All right. South Alabama with a victory, I guess, over, again, crosstown foe, not real rival, Mobile, NAIA, all right, and off to actually a pretty good start. They were 9-5 coming into this action. South Alabama beats Mobile 85-52. I don't think it was that close at one point in time. At halftime, it was only 9, as Mobile made a bunch of threes. That comes from Craig Stevenson. But Mobile did shoot 12 of 44 from 3. 8 of those were in the first half. All right. But although it was a 33-point win, I feel like it got worse. Let me see if it did. I thought it was closer to 40 is what I did. 35 basically in the 35-point range, which is pretty neat when it's 9 at half. So South Alabama had a very good ball game despite only having 9 players due to injury and illness. So they had a nice game. They will get back to Sunbelt play later this week. We'll go over that here in a minute. I want to go over the scoring. The good thing about this one was only a couple minutes. Well, you did have Hans June Lewis. He did play 39 minutes. That's not great. Chaz Harris, he only played 19 minutes. That was the thing. A lot of guys didn't play a lot, right? Cooper had 20 minutes. Broom had 30 minutes. Brady only had 1 point, only took 3 shots, made 1 free throw, did have 9 rebounds and 4 assists in 27 minutes. Williams had 24, Wheat had 20, Hawthorne had 21 minutes. That's the big thing in this, is that everybody played. All right, and you did have all 8 guys played, and 6 of them were in double figures. Cooper had 13, Harris had 13. June Luis had 18. I'm saying that right, or Luis June. Broom had 10. Williams had 16, and Hawthorne had 12. I did want to see what the second half stats were, because I felt like, South Alabama, they shot 54% in the second half, and 19 out of 25 from the free throw line. So they did not go to the free throw line at all in the first half. Only 2 of 3 in the first half. So overall, they shot 49%. Again, this is against an NAIA team, so take that for what it's worth. But they did play better in the second half. Elsewhere, a couple of Sunbelt teams taking on the SEC, as it was. And Southern Miss hung with LSU for the first half, but too much Tigers. LSU was leading 41-30 at half. They go on to win for a relatively easy victory of 90-62. For the Golden Eagles, again, a lot of guys played, right? No one had more than, 20. Talik Weeks had 27 minutes, but that's about it. All right, he led the team in scoring with 12. Izay had 11 points in 20 minutes. Kurt Lewis had 9 points in 24 minutes. So a lot of guys played early, as this game, I guess, got away from them in the second half, because it was close in the first half, 41-30. They only shot 31% for the game. LSU shot 52. That's not great. Points in the paint, just too much size for LSU. 42 points to 28 for Southern Miss. Fouls were actually the same, and LSU led by as many as 29 points. Turnovers aren't bad. Southern Miss only committed 10 turnovers to 6 for LSU. So those are some things you can find some positive at, and they hung with them on the boards. LSU had 43 rebounds. Southern Miss had 39. There are some positives, as it turns out, and they had 15 offensive rebounds to LSU's 10. So you guys know I'm always a bright side kind of guy. You got to look for some sort of positiveness in these ball games, and obviously, they let a bunch of guys play. JMU also took it on the chin to Arkansas in a ball game that wasn't very close at all. 103-74 Razorbacks in Fayetteville. 48-28 at half. And, JMU's just kind of struggling this year. Again, it's against a top 25 team, so we'll see. But JMU's just 7-7. Not that great, Bob. They're not that good. Bradley Douglas led the way with 19 points in 36 minutes, the Georgia Southern transfer. Paul Jones III had 9 points in 18 minutes. Justin McBride, 13 points in 35 minutes. They shot 41% from 3. They did shoot 38%. I'm sorry, they shot 41% from the floor, 38% from 3, which isn't too bad, 12-32, except Razorback shot 55% from the floor and 54% from 3. That's not good defense. All right, that's 15 out of 28. Malik Thomas off the bench, 6-10 from three-pointer. DJ Wagner, 4-5 from three-pointer. Darius Acuff, 3-6. That's going to be a problem. All right, so Sunbelt teams are going to see that from JMU and start launching threes. I know that's going to be a defensive problem for JMU. Sunbelt play begins again on, Arkansas State plays Arkansas Tech on Tuesday. And then New Year's, we have some action, and we have some day basketball. Which is interesting. Cajuns playing South Alabama. They host. All of a sudden, Cajuns have won 2 in a row. Troy hosting Texas State. Cajuns in South Alabama are playing at noon local time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Troy and Texas State are playing at 1 p.m. Central time. Old Dominion and App State, 2 p.m. Eastern, and Marshall and Georgia State are playing at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So that's all on New Year's Eve day. So we'll have something to do then as well. Did enjoy my day off. I did put away the bourbon that was sitting here. You can see it in the closet back there, and you can see it in the closet right there. Those two things are full. I have too much. We enjoyed what I thought was the same product, but it is absolutely not. It's absolutely not. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will have another episode, of course, on Wednesday. All right. We'll figure out what that is. I'm sure there'll be some news dropping and see where we go from there. But again, appreciate everybody who has been subscribing. We're again, a record month, and certainly out of the 3 years, a record year, and not growing just by a little bit. So growing by a whole bunch, and I appreciate it. All right. We'll see what happens with basketball, and we'll be leaning into baseball in a big way. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday.